It is cold today, but we're still here. We're indoors today, not outside. And we're talking about healing your relationship with the Father. Now, you might be thinking, well, maybe you have a good relationship with your father. Maybe your father isn't in your life. Or maybe you really don't have a good relationship with your father. But in this situation, what I'm trying to talk about is the overarching idea of the Father. Think of when we talk about God. God is the Father, right? He is the penultimate Father figure. So, usually, when you connect back to that source of Father, you are in a much better place. Connecting with the Father is one of the most important initiation processes for any man. And this is mostly for the men. Sorry, ladies. But if you're a lady watching, I'm pretty sure you have a man in your life that this can relate to. But connecting with the Father has done me a solid number. And I speak only from experience that my father was in my life for almost 20 odd years. And when we reconnected in my mid 20s, it was like inside of me that I always felt something was missing. Something just connected, something just fit into place. Like I just finally felt like complete in a sense. It's really hard to explain. It's like trying to explain a really deep psychedelic experience. It's kind of like that. And when we reconnected years after, like my life started to really go up. It was nice to be able to see my father a few times a year and talk on the phone every other week and just really catch up and see how he's doing and listen to him and just getting a perspective from the father because I grew up around my mom, single mom, and just a lot of aunties. So I grew up around women, which is not all bad. I'm lucky to have had them in my life, and I still craved a father figure. Even if it wasn't my dad, I craved for another father figure. While I had men around me, they did not give me the advice, the guidance, the mentorship that a father provides as you age. A mom can try her best, but a single mom has a really tough time because they're focused on making sure you have a house to live in and food on the table. So, they can be emotional and loving, but they're not really given the guidance necessary that you need. So, and I think that when God will force you eventually to reconnect with the Father. It will be forced upon you. It will come in the form of trying to fix your relationship with your Father, coming from a place of understanding and not utilizing your own generational experience and what's happening in the world as a way to pinpoint that, like, my father doesn't do these things. I've done that. I've done that with my dad. Trying to be like, well, he's not this way. He's not this way. He's not the father I want to be. And I had to come to the resolution and conclusion that that's probably never going to happen. And yes, it sucks. But guess what? You can't change other people. All you can do is seek from a place of understanding. So I sat down with my dad one day for 2 hours and asked him a bunch of questions. He was open to it, thank God. But I asked him a bunch of questions about his childhood, how he grew up, what happened with his kids, and relationships that he had been in, and marriage, and relationship with his parents and friends, and just everything under the sun you can think of. It was a very emotional conversation that I will never release because I recorded it for my own children. But when you reconnect with the Father and you come from a place of understanding those things, you get, oh, that's why he's the way he is. And that's probably why, people don't really change for the most part, especially as you get older. You kind of begin to get stuck in your ways a little bit. But coming from that place of understanding, it made me really be compassionate for my dad, which is one of my skills that I mentioned in my last video a few days ago. I think it was on my list here, the 21st of November. So you should go check it out. It's called Skills Every Man Needs in His Life. And one of those things was compassion. Um, and that compassion led me to being understanding and not getting into fights with him, even though, we still have our disagreements and those things still do happen because we're human and we're two different people, just like any relationship you will have in your life. But then it's just like, okay, I see how he is. I see that he doesn't see it from my perspective, and we're speaking two different languages because, again, generational differences and what's happening, and like your own learning, their own learning, it's different. So dogs are just playing today. But I feel like God will force some kind of a lesson from the Father, and it will come through father, brother, friendship, a uncle, a mentor. Excuse me. Or anything under the sun when it comes to a masculine figure, and it will annoy the crap out of you. You will be ready to be like, man, f this guy. Like I don't want to. I don't want to have. I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to listen to them. They're pissing me off. Blah 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 blah. Again, I've been there, speaking from experience. But when you don't have a relationship with the Father, a lot of turmoil begins to happen in your life. Same thing with the mother, but today we're talking about the Father. Lots of turmoil may happen in your life, like lack of communication, like disconnection from the Father, and uh, just things start to not go well for you. That's why this year, as things were not going well for me, I reconnected with the Father God, and I started to talk to my dad less. I mean, more. Sorry, I said less. I started to talk to him more and just be more understanding and spend some more time with him. I go travel up there and spend a few weeks versus just a few days. I will come down for a bit. So, and I would say to heal that relationship with God and your biological dad or whoever is that placeholder for the Father in your life, because not all of us has fathers, and I totally understand that. But the end of the day is just the overarching father figure. And that might be hard. Your dad might not understand. And that's okay. Remember, seek to understand versus being understood, which I always say it's one of the things that I hold near and dear to my heart, of that when I know I'm getting pissed off or just not getting somebody, I know that I'm being too selfish, and I'm trying to imprint my own opinions and everything on them versus letting them be their own person. And I tend to do that a lot. It's actually ruined relationships in the past. So just something to really look to, think about when it comes to your dad. So, brother, heal your relationship with the overarching father figure. Reconnect with that father. And then you'll start seeing your life blossom in so many ways. Until tomorrow.